Welcome to the adventures of the monad. We have examined the structure and function of the mental world. Let us now examine its inhabitants. We will classify the inhabitants of the mental plane using the same classification as the inhabitants of the emotional plane. We start off with humans, we then have non-humans, and finally we have artificials. Since the products of humanity's malevolent passion, which dominate the emotional world, cannot exist on the mental plane, the subdivisions we need to consider will be fewer. The following table sets out the main classes. It will be observed that human beings are categorized, for convenience, into those who are living, in other words, those who are still attached to a physical body, and those who are deceased, who no longer have a physical form. Okay, let's start with humans, those that are embodied. Human beings who, while still connected to a physical body, and who are able to consciously and actively move on the mental plane, are either adepts or their initiated pupils. Until a student has been taught by their master how to use their mental abilities, they will be unable to move freely, even on lower levels. Remember, initiation is a guided process. We cannot self-initiate. Those who think they can are led a merry dance. Rudolf Steiner is a classic example. Adepts and initiates appear as splendid globes of living color, driving away all evil influence wherever they go. They shed around them a feeling of restfulness and happiness, which even those who do not see them are often conscious of. Much of their important work is done in the mental world, especially upon the higher levels, where the individuality or monad can be directly influenced. They shower the grandest spiritual influences upon the world through thought from this plane and impel great and beneficent movements. They also distribute much of the spiritual force poured out by the self-sacrifice of the Nirmanakayas here and provide direct teaching to advanced pupils. Additionally, they have a great field of work in connection with those whom we call the dead. Adepts and masters generally reside on the highest or atomic level of the mental plane. In most cases, individuals who reach the Asika level 45 no longer have physical, emotional, mental, or causal bodies. They permanently reside at their highest level. When they need to interact with a lower plane, they create a temporary vehicle from the matter of that specific plane. In order to better understand the conditions of the mental plane and its inhabitants, it is necessary to also mention those who are not present on the plane. The characteristics of the mental world are unselfishness and spirituality. It follows that the black magician and his pupils cannot find a place there, despite the fact that many of them have highly developed intellects and consequently their mental bodies are extremely active and sensitive along certain lines. Those lines are always connected with personal desires of some sort. Their expressions can only be found through that lower part of the mental envelope which is closely tied to emotional matter. As a result, their activities are practically limited to the emotional and physical planes. This entanglement allowed the Black Lodge to headquarter themselves in the lower mental world. But they were driven from here completely into the emotional world during the Second World War. We thought the battle was for the earth. In reality, it was for the heavens. A person whose entire life is filled with evil and selfishness may have moments of purely abstract thought when they are able to use their mental abilities if they have learned how to do so. However, as soon as personal intentions come into play, and there is an effort to achieve something evil, the thought is no longer abstract. At that point, the person finds themselves once again operating in connection with familiar emotional influences. In other words, a dark sorcerer could only function on the mental plane if they were able to forget they were a dark sorcerer. However, even if the magician forgot it, they could only be visible on the mental plane to individuals consciously functioning there and not to those in Devachan, who are completely secluded in a world of their own thoughts. In Devachan, nothing unpleasant or evil can intrude from the outside. For regular people, during sleep, or those who are psychically developed and in a trance, it is possible to access the mental plane, but is extremely rare. Complete purity of life and purpose would be an absolute requirement. Even if one were to reach this plane, there would be no true consciousness, only a receptivity to certain impressions. An example of this was discussed in the presentation on sleep life. So, let's look at humans who are disembodied. This class comprises all those in Devachan as described in previous presentations. Then we have the non-humans. In the series about the emotional envelope, it was noted that there are occasionally cosmic entities found on the emotional plane who are visitors from other planets and systems. These visitors are even more frequently found on the mental plane. Describing these entities in human language is incredibly difficult, so this task will not be attempted. They are very elevated beings who are concerned not with individuals but with great cosmic purposes. Those in touch with our world are the immediate agents responsible for carrying out the law of karma, particularly in relation to changes in land and sea caused by earthquakes, tidal waves, and other seismic events. So, the less we see of them, the better. The next is the Rupa Devas, the beings known to Hindus and Buddhists as Devas, to Zoroastrians as the lords of the heaven and earth, to Christians and Muslims as angels, and in other belief systems as sons of God, etc. These belong to a spirit kingdom that is a separate evolution from that of humanity. They can be seen as a kingdom above humanity, much like humanity is above the animal kingdom. However, there is an important difference. While an animal can only advance to the human kingdom, a human being, upon reaching the Asika level 45, has several choices, one of which is the Deva line. Although Devas are connected with the earth, they are not confined to it. Our chain of 7 worlds is like one world to them, and their evolution occurs through a system of 7 chains, just as we do. Up to now, their hosts have mostly been recruited from other humanoid species in the solar system, some less advanced and some more advanced than ours, because only a very small portion of our own is advanced enough to join them. It appears that some of their many different kinds have not gone through any civilization comparable to ours at all. We currently do not have the capability to understand much about them, but it is evident that their evolutionary goal is significantly higher than ours. This means that while the level of the Asika Adept 45 is what we are striving to achieve at the end of the 7th round, the level reached by the Deva evolution in the corresponding period will be much higher. Like us, they will also have a steeper but shorter path leading to even more sublime heights. There are numerous types of angels or devas, just as there are many races of humanity. Each type consists of various grades of power, intellect, and overall development, resulting in hundreds of different varieties. Angels are divided into 9 orders, with the names used in the Christian Church being angels, archangels, thrones, dominions, princedoms, virtues, powers, cherubim, and seraphim. 7 of these orders belong to the great rays of which the solar system is composed, while 2 orders, the last 2 mentioned, can be considered cosmic, as they are common to some other systems. In each order, there are many types of individuals. Some are actively working while others assist those in trouble and sorrow. Some work among the vast host of the dead. Some are engaged in guarding, some in meditation, and others are primarily focused on their own personal development. Angels of music communicate through music just as we communicate through words. To them, an arpeggio is a greeting, a fugue is a conversation, and an oratorio is an oration. There are also angels of color who express themselves through ever-changing vibrant hues. Additionally, there are angels who live in and express themselves through perfumes and fragrances. Among them are angels of incense who are attracted to its vibrations and take pleasure in utilizing its possibilities. There is another kind of nature spirit belonging to the kingdom of elves who do not communicate through perfumes but instead live off the emanations of them. They are always present where fragrance is present. There are many varieties, some of which thrive on unpleasant odors, while others are attracted only to the most delicate and refined scents. Some types are particularly drawn to the smell of incense and are commonly found in churches where incense is used. I wonder, what kind of nature spirit would be attracted to my armpits? The individuals who have been instructed to recognize and answer the ancient call at the beginning of the Christian Eucharist and who are responsible for distributing the force are often referred to as the apostolic or messenger angels. Some of them are very knowledgeable about this type of work due to extensive experience, while others are newcomers eagerly learning what needs to be done and how to do it. The method of angelic evolution largely involves service. A ceremony like the Eucharist provides them with a great opportunity, which they readily take advantage of. During a low celebration, the directing angel first responds to the call from the priest and then seems to gather the rest. During a high celebration or missa cantata, the ancient melody immediately catches their attention when it rings out, and they stand ready to attend at the appropriate time for each part of the ceremony. The service provided by angels comes in various forms, with only a few involving interactions with humans, primarily in the context of religious rites. The angels invoked in Christian services are considered to be at a higher spiritual level than humans. In Freemasonry, angelic aid is also sought, but the angels called upon are closer to the level of human development and intelligence. Each angel brings with them a number of subordinates who carry out their directions. Every properly established Masonic lodge is under the guidance of a 7th ray angel who oversees its operations. In the following presentation, we will look at the bodies of the Devas. Thank you.